Hey, good morning everyone. It's Chris with Expat Theory. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. Appreciate you being here. Alright, it is now April. The first quarter 2023 is completed. And I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of an update. Currently I'm in Georgia, down outside of Atlanta. A little chilly this morning, it's about 50 degrees, but it's nice and sunny as you can see. Got a delivery to make Monday morning. Anyway, the first quarter with GP Transco. I can say that it's been a little bit bumpy. There's been some issues, you know. The dispatching is not the best, put it that way. Far exceeds the Kentucky regional office for CRST, which that's not saying much. But I've been coming in kind of short on my miles. I really want 3,000 miles a week, and I keep missing that target. My paychecks have been a little bit bumpy and a little bit short of what I kind of expect from GP and what I've been requesting from GP. And I kind of got to the point where I ended up having to tell my DM that, look, if I can't get the miles I'm looking for, I'm going to have to start looking for another job. That seems to have triggered my DM a little bit. So now he's pushing a little bit harder to get me my miles. We'll see how that plays out. I kind of been looking at that. In the trucking, most of the places are paying about 60 cents a mile now. So if you do 3,000 miles, 60 cents a mile, you're looking at gross of about $1,800. And then you got to take out all your taxes and all that good stuff. That's kind of where I need to be. That's not reaching for the stars. That's not, asking for the moon and expecting them to pull off something incredible. That's very doable, which is another little bit of my frustration of why it's not happening. So I kind of like GP, but they're kind of not making me super happy. There's also issues with the dispatching. It really doesn't seem like the dispatchers really care too much about the drivers. And sad to say, but it's true. I mean, it just seems like, and I kind of have to blame corporate for it. It seems like they've given them a certain deadline, a certain target to reach, which is 2,500 miles a week. And then after that, the pressure is off of the driver managers. They've accomplished what the company wants. And it seems to me there's a real lack of caring on the DM's part as to what the driver actually wants. And they don't listen. That's a thing that's popped up repeatedly, not only for myself, but also for my friends and other drivers that I've met here. There seems to be a big issue and disconnect as far as the driver managers listening to the drivers and taking into account what they want, what they need, what they're doing, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. And you get a lot of attitude as far as They will tell you things like, yeah, I hear, yeah, whatever, I hear you, fine, whatever, kind of attitude when you're trying to talk to them. And there's no pressure, no, I don't know, I don't even know the words I'm looking for. The company doesn't seem to care whether or not, the driver manager is in tune with you or not. As long as they meet the minimum requirements that the company set, they've pretty much trained the driver managers to be complacent towards the drivers. And I say it's company because it happens way too frequently. If it were a person or a personality thing, it would be one individual, maybe a handful of individuals, but apparently this is widespread. And it's evidenced by the fact that almost every driver I've talked to for this company has had multiple driver managers. They've had to basically request a new driver manager because they're not getting their needs met, and or there's problems with communications where the DM just isn't listening to them and they had to request a new one. And that's just not good. There are lots of problems within the trucking industry that makes it difficult already. And one of the key things is communications. And actually just, really being in tune with your driver and caring about what your driver's trying to do. And on my end, for the drivers, we need to know that we've got contact that we can trust. Information is a big thing for us. We need to have all the information necessary to do our job. We got to have times, dates. We got to have pickup numbers so that when we show up to these customers, we're on time or a little bit early. We have the proper information that we need to pick up the loads so there's no delays for us getting loaded and getting on the road and moving. That is not GP's strong point, which is sad. But on the flip side of it, I've only worked for 2 companies, so I can't speak for the industry as a whole, but it seems like that is a problem everywhere. There's no real difference between the companies. They all struggle with this, apparently. I can't make industry-wide decisions, but this is something that definitely a company that can get a grip on that and streamline that process and make it good and strong, they're going to be a better company to work for. I haven't found out yet. So I'm basically staying where I'm at the moment because I'm close to what I want. I'm hoping that the near future I will get where I want to be money-wise and finish strong. I also came to the realization that I might be judging things a little too critically because of the fact that I had it so good at the Target dedicated account. That run, I had that position for almost a year, and that made me pretty good money. Normal driving, picking up loads, sitting at docks hours on end, waiting for loading and unloading times, and having to drive an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours between pickups and deliveries. There's a lot of time out there that's wasted that you're not being able to get paid for, versus a dedicated run where you're at the same spots on both ends, you're picking up your trailers right away, getting loaded, moving, going. And you're driving, really good miles every day. I was getting 550 miles a day, 6 days a week, 3,300 miles total. That's kind of hard to compare to a regular company driver job, because it's not going to be the same. Therefore, I'm not going to quite make the same money. But I really feel like I can be in the ballpark with a decent company that's going to get me my miles every week. It's not out of the realm of possibility, put it that way. So I do have to kind of give them a little bit of leeway that, this isn't a dedicated run. I'm not going to have, 500, 600 miles every single day. It just doesn't happen that way. Another little thing with trucking, the driver managers are sending out your loads kind of in a reactionary way. They're not planning. When they do plan, which doesn't happen very often, but when they do plan out your trips in advance, you do better. When you show up someplace and you're making your delivery and they are starting to unload your truck and your DM just now starts looking for your next load, it's not going to be as good of a week as if they already know where you're going to drop off, where you're going to pick up next, and the load after that, they got a good idea of what they're going to do with you. So the reactionary dispatching does not result in good numbers usually. Sorry, it's a little windy out here today. There does seem to be a lot of reactionary dispatching. And that's another thing that kind of had a little bit better at CRST. They planned out your week a little bit more. At the beginning of the week, your DM knew where you were dropping off and had an idea where he was going to send you next. And from there, they started building on that. And they filled out the rest of the week by Monday or Tuesday. They already kind of knew where they were going to send you, where you were going to go. And they could plan you out some good miles. They weren't just going to the boards and finding something close to you that's available and assigning it to you. You end up getting a couple back-to-back loads that are 350, 400, 425 miles. They can add up, but at the end of the week, you end up coming up short because you don't have the longer runs to balance out the short to hit your target. All right, so for a lot of you people that are not into the trucking industry, you're probably just kind of glazing over all of this. And again, it's important for me because it affects the money, and the money is what I'm trying to build for my retirement and getting overseas. And right now, things are going fairly good. Not where I plan to be. Here it is April, and my Roth IRA is not fully funded yet. I thought I was going to have that done by February. That hasn't happened. The savings going into my stock market account is not where I thought it would be. And for making my projection based on first quarter results throughout the rest of 2023, it's not looking great. Looks like I'm going to take a pay cut this year. So I'm going to have to tighten up the belt a little bit. Going to have to work hard as I can, make as much as I can. And if I have to, I will make another job change to get that income level back to where I need it to be to meet my financial goal for the year, because I can't miss these targets. I mean, I'm already at the lower end of what I want to do in retirement. I'm looking at the end goal being somewhere in the ballpark of 250,000 minimum. put into the stock market to pay me monthly dividends to augment my Social Security. So technically, that means I got to be somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 a year for 10 years of trucking to meet my goal at the end. So I can't miss these targets. They have to be in place, or I will not have the finances that I'm looking for when I get there. And when I get there, it's still up in the air a little bit. I'm still debating between my top two locations being Phnom Penh, Cambodia, or Cebu City, Philippines. Both are excellent choices. Phnom Penh's got a little better infrastructure. Cebu's got a little better English speakers. A tiny bit cheaper. But the way price increases have been hitting the Philippines lately, who knows? It may not be very much cheaper or cheaper at all. It may be more expensive by the time I get ready for retirement. And the plan is still for 2030 at this point. I was thinking about trying to get out of here early, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to hit that financial goal early, I don't think. Which kind of sucks, because God did get my hopes up a little bit to try to get out of here a little early, and I don't see it happening. You know, I've got to get this money put aside, built up. I do have expenses outside of that I'm going to have to pay for. One being, you know, my dental work. And that's going to be expensive, especially if I do it here. But thinking now I'm probably going to do it overseas. I may get the first steps done here in the States just to kind of get by. But to get the full-on implants that I want, it only makes sense to wait until I can get it overseas because I can get it so much cheaper. And the quality level should be just as good. May not be exactly the same in the care level, but the quality of the product will be just as good at a fraction of the cost. So it only makes sense to wait until I can get over there and get it done. Save a huge chunk of money. So I don't know, guys. I get a little frustrated sometimes because I try not to micromanage, but I do. I try not to think too much, but I do. You know, I've got a lot of things to accomplish in the next 7 years, and I cannot collect my Social Security until you're 62. Was it 62 and a half or something like that? So I've got at least 7 more years of doing this before I can get out of here. And it feels like it's a long time, but when you have a lot to accomplish between the two goals window, inside that window, you do get a little stressed sometimes thinking about, what needs to happen, what you need to accomplish. And when things slow down a little bit, like they are right now, it adds a little stress. It adds a little doubt. It puts that little seed of doubt in your mind that, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be able to hit my goals? Am I going to be able to make this happen? And, there's a lot to it. And you start to second guess and doubt yourself a little bit. And a lot of times you just got to take a step back and look at the big picture. Look at where you were previously, how far you've come, and what you're actually doing right now, currently. And it gives you a better perspective on where you're going and how you're going to get there. But it's hard. It is hard I think it's mentally taxing and challenging emotionally. It does feel like a little bit of a roller coaster at times. You know, especially at times when you get tired. You know, when I'm out here working 6 days a week, putting in 65 to 68 hours a week, you get tired, you know, and you want to just say to hell with it. I want to take a break, but you can't. You know, you got to keep cranking them numbers. So there, you will hear times when I'm feeling down. You'll hear it in the video. You'll hear it in my voice. You know, today is a good day. I'm feeling much better. I got some good rest last night, which I really needed. I was behind on sleep. I got a good amount of sleep yesterday, so I'm feeling much better today. But there are going to be times throughout the process that you're going to double think yourself, you know, think about what's going on, what you're doing, how you're going to get there. You're going to have doubts, you know, you're going to second guess yourself constantly. You know, some people don't think as much as I do. They have it a little easier. But when you're an overthinker, yeah, it gets to you sometimes. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. You know, everything's still going along the process. It's a little bit of slower time for me right now. I'm not firing on all 8 cylinders the way I want to, but I do feel like I'm firing on 7 out of the 8. So I'm not doing bad, just not doing as good as I want to, put it that way. Yeah, I think that's going to be it. You guys have a good one. Be safe out there, and we'll see you guys in the next video.